Hi everyone. I often struggle with finding subjects to draw. I'm somebody who loves old things. I love vintage, I love antique, I love period dramas, I love the costumes, I love Victorian, Edwardian fashion, and even just things from the 90s and 80s and even the 50s and 40s. I love that kind of, I don't know what it is. I think it's a feeling of nostalgia, and I know that we romanticize these things a lot because times were tough back then. I mean, I don't want to live in those times, but just the beauty of it, and I'm going to say the word aesthetic. I know it's misused so much these days, but the aesthetic of the olden days, I've just always been drawn to that. I always loved getting things for my mom, or sleeping and a nightgown from my cousin or aunt or grandma. It's just different. It's unique. You can't, I mean, vintage is getting really popular, and it's getting harder and harder to find vintage things. I really miss flea markets. I mean, I've been doing, surprisingly, not even surprisingly, but I've been doing quite well with the lockdown and everything, because I enjoy the company of people, but I also just thrive so much when I have time for myself and for my hobbies and my interests. So I've rediscovered my love for these things, and I really miss flea markets because there are so many things that I'd like to have, and I've been too cheap to buy in the past. Or just, on one hand you want to declutter, on the other hand there are just objects that are so beautiful, and I think as long as they make you happy, then it's okay to buy objects. But what's even better is to inherit them from someone, or reuse things that otherwise would be thrown away. So that's a source of inspiration for me, and I thought, why not make a video about that? Just draw old things. Right now I can think of like 10 old things that I think I'd really enjoy drawing, and at the same time, it's that wonderful cozy color palette, because everything that has survived from the past until now, I mean, depending on which era we're talking about, but most of the things that we find have a yellowish tint or brown or something like that, and I really love those colors these days. A few years ago, my favorite color was turquoise, and now it's my least favorite color. I'm crazy like that. Like, I change tastes all the time. But right now I'm not into pastels. I'm not so much into even bold and flashy colors, but more into those earthy, brown, warm tones, yellows, ochres, burnt oranges. I mean, I know it's kind of a trend. I'm not that original, but that's a great opportunity to actually draw some old things, because it works really well with that color palette. If you're anything like me and you're into all of this dark academia, I don't know, even some cottagecore elements are very warm in their color and yellow and old-fashioned, then why don't you just join me and we'll draw some old things today. And remember, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. I'm not giving you instruction per se, because it could be that you have a completely different style and a different pace. So I'm just trying to inspire you really to start somewhere and just do it. And if yours looks absolutely different and in no way like mine, it's probably much better than mine, then that's fine. I just want to sit here and draw with you. Just imagine us sitting in a coffee shop, and we have our laptops or notebooks between us, and I don't see what you're doing, you don't see what I'm doing, but we're painting together or drawing together. And in the end, everyone has his own little work of art that's completely different and still maybe in the same realm. So let's dive into the realm of old stuff. And actually, I think that I could make this into a series, because there are so many inspiring people from the past that I can think of, and just the scenery, just traveling in time to those wonderful places, those old cities. It just automatically transforms you. I don't know, or it transforms the way you see the world. And I'd really love to dedicate a few videos just to old fashion, old buildings, old things. I'd like that. Let me know if you'd like it. And so I think that's enough talk for today. Let's get to drawing. I'd like to introduce you to some of the materials that I use. Using a lot of Faber-Castell, a German brand that I think is affordable. And these are water-soluble color pencils. I find them easy to use because we're all used to color pencils from our childhood days. And they work like a pencil basically, and you mix the different colors and shade on paper, and this is where the magic happens later on when you're done coloring it in. You grab your brush and you dip it in water and you wet the colors that you just placed on paper. Here I am just filling in my well-loved old teddy bear. And now I love this part because once you add the water, the colors start to glow so much and they just come to life, and it becomes so much more intense. And you see the effects of the color mixing that you did on paper. And you can still shove the water around a little bit and have a little bit of some watercolor effects, but it's still not as intimidating as using classical watercolor, because that I find is the hardest medium to use for me, because it just does whatever it wants. You can't really control it. And it takes a little bit of getting used to, so this is a nice step in between color pencils and watercolor, with a little bit of the same effect, of course. And really nice for beginners. And just like I said, this part where you just add the water is just so much fun. So I really enjoy using them. Yeah, my eraser is also from Faber-Castell. And usually when I sketch, I don't use an eraser, because that's just what I learned in school, and sometimes I'm just lazy. So, but you're not supposed to rely on it too much to improve your sketching skills. But in this case, if I want to make something finished, I like cleaning it up a little bit. So this eraser is really nice as well. This video is not sponsored, by the way. These are just some things that I have. Like I said, it's affordable, so it's a nice way to try out some new mediums. And of course, since I'm adding water, I am using watercolor paper because I don't want it to bulge. And this watercolor paper is held down by the block itself, like it's glued on the sides, so it stays in place and you don't have to use tape to fix it on your table. I kept all the little drawings here in brown and brownish shades because, like I said, that's how my brain works regarding old things, and just to have a cohesive look on the page. And the nice thing about these little drawings is that you can always go back to the painting or drawing and add some more elements to it whenever you feel like it. Now I'm sketching a feather. Unfortunately, my battery died on me slowly and I didn't notice it while I was doing the feather, so you're not going to see the entire process. But you get the idea. Just find some images online or draw from life even, like find some objects in your home that maybe your parents collected or you collected yourself. And yeah, make a little collage of things, and you can do this for as long as you'd like.
This feather is really taking me long. Sometimes it's the simplest things that take the longest time. But it's part of the process. And you do get better with time. Okay, this is where the footage stops, and this is the finished product.
I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I really felt the coziness of those colors and just the time travel aspect, the nostalgia. I hope you did as well. And just thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate you. And I hope we see each other in the next video. And stay creative, keep drawing. See you next time.